All right, I think we're just going to start up. I want to invite Andrej from Deep Work Studio to the stage. Deep Work is a design agency focused on working with DeFi products and including Nexus Mutual. So welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I like you. That
We
was
did
the
it.
most awkward picture that exists of my face, but I'm glad you know my real face now. How many of you are like design people, do design or have done design for products? Okay. How many of you are involved in development? Okay. Business perspective, product management? Okay, cool. So this is going to be interesting. If I say that I work at a design studio, that might spark different or maybe wrong expectations. How many of you are Russian? Okay, я тоже. That means me too. So I'm going to quickly, because I only have 10 minutes, I'm going to quickly talk about a couple of things that I've learned we've learned while we were working on DeFi products. I run a studio, Deep Work Studio. We're a remote kind of collaborative studio that really runs quickly through products before they get built. So just for context, we have a really structured way to design stuff. So we work together with teams in real-time remote workshops for 3 days, and then we take 2 days to design a prototype and a day to test it, and that gives us enough information to align the team so they know exactly what they're building, what they're designing before they want to build, exchange knowledge between designers, developers, and product managers, CEOs, and also gives us the ability to kind of fast forward into time and test a prototype with real people before developing it without wasting money, and get feedback on what actually works, like what of the ideas that most teams have work in the real world. So I'm just going to go through a couple of examples that we worked through and kind of what the learnings from these were. So this is, for instance, Ramp Instant. Anybody knows that? Ramp? Okay. Ah, cool. Nice. They do an on-ramping platform in Europe, so you can kind of quickly buy crypto, and you do a KYC through your bank account. So instead of doing all this complicated process, you just connect your bank account and then they do the KYC. And one of the interesting things that they learned through that was, and that's something that a lot of people also kind of keep asking me or repeating, is that UX is great because everybody has that notion of, yeah, let's jam through it and users are going to be fast and everything's going to be super easy. But then in the DeFi space, you have the challenge that you're dealing with sometimes a lot of money, and humans don't like to just throw out their money really quickly, especially if they're not sure exactly how things work. So with Ramp, we basically drew an entire process, or we kind of mapped out the process step by step and deliberately slowed down the whole experience in order for them to understand what's actually going on. Because the first iteration we went through was 3 screens, and it's here, you have to put in your details and connect your bank account, and then in the end they were wait a minute, how's my bank account now connected? Why am I where's my money? And that kind of brought us to the point that yeah, people just need to understand what they're going through first, because they can lose a lot of money if they don't read things. They can just send it to the wrong contract. And this is kind of a thing that I think is important for a lot of DeFi products, because you want to make sure that people really understand what they're doing, and you want to kind of slow them down. So going against this heuristic of Google or Facebook of really quickly jamming through stuff. That was consensus. Also quite an interesting thing, because I hear that a lot with a lot of teams who focus on. So first of all, a question that I get asked a lot is who do I test with? Or what if we have the technology and we don't know exactly how it works? And with consensus, they just have shitloads of money, so they're just kind of allocating it, and they have the ability to just try things out and play with them. And the approach that they had before was like really building things out first and then seeing like developing them and seeing, oh, actually that's not something that's super necessary. And I think that's also actually a common theme, also in the open source world, is that teams focus a lot on the amazingness of the technology and all the possibilities, and you get all these wild ideas how the world can be better with the technology, but then they don't really try to understand who they're building it for. And with Consensus, that was kind of one of the things that we did, was first of all really narrow down the use case. Like that example, for instance, is a calculator that's supposed to motivate people into staking for Ethereum 2.0, which is going to release next year or early 2021. And there was a really, really narrow kind of target segment, and it was really important to test it with these guys, because then we knew, okay, there's some information missing, there's some stuff they don't understand. And only then they actually went out and like hired front-end and back-end devs and like really made that happen. And I feel like a lot of projects that I see, or like people that I meet from other projects, they kind of get stuck in the technology, but they never really understand, or like they fast forward they go too far ahead, so they try to release the product before actually testing that with people. That was Molecule. Also, I think an important point, or at least an important learning that I had, or that these guys also had, is when you have a platform, especially with DeFi products, with Web 2.0 products, that's not that much of a difficulty, because you have like a company and you want to make money. But with DeFi products, you have like different incentives and different parties and different players almost. So like you need to understand every opinion of every person in the whole, like, ideally equilibrium. And Molecule, they built a product that's supposed to re-incentivize the medical industry. So you would have people who, like research teams who would put up, what do you call that, like molecules or research data, and they would want to kind of get that Kickstarter approach into researching and developing treatments for what's publicly interesting. And they forgot to tailor that to the current industry. So they were kind of creating this whole cool thing, which is targeting investors and everyday users and research teams and IP creators, but they forgot that they're kind of plugging into something that already exists and never asked like actual people from or like pharmaceutical companies. And it turned out that that was a really important point in IP creation. How many minutes do I have left? 1, okay. I think that's the last point, actually. Yeah, good UX leads to high liquidity. This was Hummingbot. Just like don't forget user experience. Even though like with RAMP, that's exactly the counterexample. Obviously, you have to kind of deliberately put it right. At least a higher liquidity. Hummingbot is a trading bot, and there was this quote. We had a project with them, where someone was like, I have no idea what just happened, but I'm making money and this is awesome. And I was like, okay, interesting. It's not exactly perfect, but it works. It does, especially with products from Consensus, we realized that quite a lot, that it changes how people kind of think about everything because they understand what's really important. I think my time is over, right? Like and subscribe. You can add me on Instagram or whatever.
Thanks so much for the chat. Cool.
Thank you so much.